The autumn wind whispered through the sleepy streets of Maplewood, a town where front porch swings creaked with gossip and the scent of apple pie lingered in the air. Judge Evelyn Hart, the first woman of color to preside over the county's highest court, had spent her life weaving fairness into the fabric of her community. At 58, her silver-streaked hair and piercing gaze were as iconic as the gavel she wielded with precision. But beneath her robe lay a woman who still carried the weight of her father's words. In a world quick to judge, Evelyn, you must be the scales. Tonight, as the sun dipped below the horizon, she craved the solace of her evening ritual, a jog along the riverside trail where the rustle of leaves drowned out the echoes of courtroom battles. She didn't know it yet, but this routine would unravel into a night that tested her faith in the very system she'd sworn to protect. The river path was a tapestry of gold and crimson, maples bowing over the water like ancient sentinels. Evelyn tightened her windbreaker, her sneakers crunching gravel in a steady rhythm. Her mind churned over tomorrow's docket, a land dispute between the town's oldest farm family and a developer hungry for condos. Progress versus legacy, she mused, her breath visible in the chill. Then came the growl of an engine. In her peripheral vision, a patrol car slowed, its headlights slicing through the dusk. Officer Jake Carter, a 12-year veteran with shadows under his eyes, gripped the steering wheel. Maplewood's recent vandalism spree, spray-painted storefronts, shattered windows, had turned the town jittery. His captain's orders haunted him. Stop anyone suspicious. No exceptions. But exhaustion blurred his judgment. When he spotted Evelyn, a woman in a hoodie jogging alone, his instincts misfired. Suspicious, he muttered. Too calm, too prepared. He flicked on his cruiser's lights. "Ma'am, stop right there." Evelyn halted, squinting at the blinding spotlight. Carter stepped out, hand hovering near his belt. The gold badge on his chest gleamed, but his posture was rigid, a coiled spring. "Is there a problem, officer?" Evelyn asked, catching her breath. Carter's eyes narrowed. "This area's had trouble lately. What are you doing here?" "Jogging," she said simply. "I do it every evening." "Not tonight, you don't." He stepped closer, boots crunching gravel. "ID, now." Evelyn's brow furrowed. "I'm not carrying ID. I'm just—" "Turn around." His voice hardened. "Hands on the hood." The command hung in the air, sharp as a blade. Evelyn's pulse quickened, but decades in courtrooms had taught her composure. "Officer, this is unnecessary. I live 3 blocks from here. Ask anyone." "Now," he barked. A cold dread settled in her chest. She complied, the cruiser's metal biting into her palms as Carter patted her down. His gloves brushed her wrists, her pockets, empty save for a house key. "You're coming downtown," he said, clicking handcuffs shut. "On what charge?" Evelyn's voice rose, steady but laced with ice. "Resisting." The station buzzed with fluorescent glare and radio static. Evelyn sat in a cramped interrogation room, her wrists chafing. She replayed the arrest. Was it the hoodie? The time of day? The color of her skin? When the doors slammed open. Captain Rosa Alvarez, a no-nonsense woman with a graying bun, stormed in, her face pale. "Judge Hart? My God!" She whirled on Carter, who lingered in the doorway. "You handcuffed Judge Hart for jogging." Carter froze. She fit the description." "What description?" Alvarez snapped. "A woman exercising? You didn't even run her name?" Evelyn stood, her gaze piercing. "Captain, I'd like an explanation. Now." Alvarez turned to Carter. "Speak, now." The officer faltered. "I thought she looked out of place. The vandal—" "Out of place?" Evelyn's voice cut like steel. "Or out of profile." Silence thickened the air. Carter stared at the floor, his throat bobbing. Alvarez yanked a file from the wall. "You're suspended, Carter. Internal Affairs will—" "Wait." Evelyn raised a hand. "I want him to answer. Look at me, officer." Reluctantly, Carter met her eyes. You assumed guilt without evidence, she said quietly. You see a person, not a threat, and you chose fear. Do you know what that costs? He said nothing. It costs trust, she said. The trust this town needs to function. And once lost… Alvarez stepped forward. Judge Hart, I'll personally ensure this never… No. Evelyn unclipped her cuffs, dropping them on the table. Justice isn't personal, Captain. It's procedural. Follow yours. She walked out, the station's eyes following her. Carter slumped into a chair, head in hands. Outside, Evelyn inhaled the night air, her breath visible in the chill. A young rookie held the door, starstruck. Judge Hart, my mom says you're her hero. Evelyn smiled faintly. Tell her heroes are just people who refuse to quit. As she walked home, her mind lingered on Carter, not with anger, but sorrow. How many others, she wondered, never make it out of that room? The next morning, headlines blared, Judge detained. Bias in Maplewood? The town erupted. Some called for Carter's job, others defended him. At the diner, old-timers clinked coffee mugs. Knew that boy'd snap one day, one muttered. Evelyn returned to the bench, her gavel striking with renewed resolve. When the land dispute case opened, she paused, addressing the packed courtroom. This town is built on legacy and accountability. Let us not forget either. 2 weeks later, Carter resigned quietly. The vandal? A trio of teens, caught red-handed with spray paint. At his exit interview, Carter confessed to Alvarez, I saw threats where there were none. Let my fear blind me. Maplewood's police overhauled training, mandatory workshops on implicit bias, community dialogues led by Evelyn herself. At the first session, she stood before rows of officers, her voice steady. Justice is a mirror. What do you see staring back? Evelyn still jogs the river path, hoodie and all, though now officers wave politely. Some nights she pauses at the bench where Carter detained her, its wood weathered but unbroken. One evening, she finds a note tucked between the slats. Judge Hart, I'm sorry. J.C. She tucks it into her pocket, the weight of forgiveness lighter than she'd imagined. Thank you for watching. If this story moved you, like, share, and subscribe for more tales where courage meets conscience, where the echoes of our choices ripple far beyond what we can see. Stay curious, stay kind, and never stop seeking the truth, because in the end, it's not just about the justice we deliver, but the humanity we preserve along the way. See you next time.